In ancient times, there was an endless war between humans and monsters, with no end in sight. Thousands of years ago, Emperor Yu used the power of pattern for the first time. With this power, the emperor managed to seal the progenitor of the monsters. Since then, the monsters had sought to break the seal, leading to a centuries-long war with humans. When the emperor felt that his time was running out, he bestowed the power of the pattern, capable of defeating monsters, to 5 families. From that moment on, humanity began to use the level of the pattern as a status designation. Level 9 for the most noble, Level 1 for the lowest born. Currently, one of the lowest born humans was working as a salesman in a store. A customer came into the store and began to resent that people with the lowest pattern level were only wasting air, so he asked the salesman for cigarettes. As you can see, the customer had a pattern around his neck, showing that the customer had a level 5 pattern. The guy pulled out the item the buyer asked for and asked for payment of 30 yuan. The man began to resent that the salesman had no conscience since he was asking him for money. After all, he's fighting monsters to protect a pathetic bunch of scum like the salesman. The man became indignant and called for the manager. The manager immediately appeared in front of the buyer and asked what the buyer wanted from him. The man demanded that the salesman be fired because the salesman demanded that he pay for the merchandise and not just take it. Soon in the store's locker room, the manager was apologizing to Chi. However, the guy understood everything perfectly well and decided to quit his job himself, so as not to cause the manager any problems. Chi reminds us that they have experienced this kind of treatment more than once. People with high-level patterns will never consider low-level people as their equals, and in fact, they will not consider them as people at all. Guy notes that his dismissal is not the manager's fault. Sun has always treated him well, so he asks that Sun not feel guilty. The manager only hoped that the guy would get lucky in the future and gave him half a month's salary. As soon as Chi walked out of the store, his sister immediately approached him. The sister reported that she had sold her painting and earned 1,000 yuan. She excitedly told him that soon she would have a lot of money and then the brother wouldn't have to work several jobs at the same time. Her brother, on the other hand, felt that his sister's health was more important to him, so he wanted to take all the financial burdens on himself. Passing by the food counter, the sister couldn't look away. The brother asked the sister if she wanted ice cream. However, the sister remarks that her health is poor, so she cannot eat cold. The brother thought that on rare occasions, one could afford to eat such a thing as well. So he approached the vendor and asked for 1 strawberry ice cream. As soon as the sister took the ice cream, the first thing she asked the brother was if he wanted to try the ice cream. However, the guy thought that ice cream was only for children. The sister happily started eating the ice cream, so the brother didn't want to spoil the mood and decided to tell her about the dismissal after they got home. Suddenly, the street where the brother and sister were shook violently. The street shook because of the sudden appearance of a giant monster. People tried to run away from the monster. They wondered how the monster appeared in this area. After all, it was under the protection of the Zhong family. The brother grabbed his sister's hand and decided to run to the shelter. He thought that there must be someone from the Zhong family patrolling nearby. If they managed to take shelter, they would be safe. The sudden appearance of the monster caused the girl to drop her ice cream and looked at him sadly. The sister couldn't run because of her poor health, so she immediately started coughing. The brother noticed that his sister couldn't run and lifted her up on his shoulder. This was the first time the guy had heard of monsters being able to enter a protected area, so he thought something strange was going on. The Zhong family was one of the 5 families that received a gift from Emperor Yu. The giant monster was just around the corner, but people were still trying to save their lives and running as hard as they could. The guy was still trying to realize why the monster appeared in the Zhong family's territory. He realized that he needed to be more careful the next time he went out into the city. The most important task at the moment was to get his sister Lin Lin to the shelter. As he ran up to the shelter, he noticed that there were a lot of people standing near the shelter. He asked Auntie Jiang, who knew him, why everyone was standing outside and no one was entering the shelter. However, the answer came quickly enough. The man at the entrance of the shelter asked everyone to take their time. He explained that there were a limited number of seats in the shelter, so those with patterns below the 3rd level would not be able to enter the shelter. The ordinary people were shocked when they heard such terrible things. They couldn't understand why they were going to be left to die and not allowed into the shelter. Someone even suggested that everyone should run inside and then the man wouldn't be able to stop them. Chi stepped forward and notices that if people crowd near the entrance of the shelter, it will attract the attention of the monsters, and the shelter won't last long. He notices that the area is under the protection of the Zhong family, so they should be sending someone to help soon, and then everyone won't have to stay in the shelter for long. The man notices that the guy knows a lot, and since he knows a lot, he must be strong. So the man suggests Chi to take the monster away from this place, because according to Chi, the Zhong family will soon come and save everyone. However, at that moment, the man noticed that the guy only has a level 1 pattern, so the guy can't enter the shelter. People began to complain that the man just wanted them dead, he just wanted to survive. Someone pointed out that he had a level 3 pattern, so he asked to be let inside the shelter. Someone started complaining that because of the slowness of the process, they would die faster before they checked the pattern levels of everyone present. A general panic started and people were swearing at each other, which was what the man wanted. However, at this moment, Chi decided to change things and said that he would try to distract the monster and drive it away, but everyone else should take cover in the shelter. The man was shocked when he heard such words from the guy. Chi decided to go on an incredibly dangerous mission, so the first thing he did was to approach Auntie Jiang and ask her to look after his sister. The sister was scared, but her brother told her not to worry, because he would come back right away after taking the monster away from this place. The guy wondered if everyone would be able to enter the shelter now. The man was shocked at such a reckless decision by the guy and didn't know what to say. Chi points out that the man should let everyone into the shelter, or else he will regret later that many people died because of his fault. Other people felt that the man didn't care about them. Some were even still trying to force their way in, hoping to get into the shelter. Eventually the man gave up and said that everyone could enter the shelter but had to observe the line. He even snidely remarks that the guy will definitely die. The sister is upset by such words. Chi only went as a lone warrior to the front lines while everyone else entered the shelter. The monster happened to be very close to the shelter, so the guy sprang into action. He started to draw the monster's attention to himself. The monster seemed strange to the guy, so he worried that the shelter might be in danger. The guy remembered well his rough childhood with his sister. He had a level 1 pattern and his sister had a level 0 pattern. In a society where level 9 pattern holders are at the top, the brother and sister were considered trash, so they were kicked out of the house. However, all these patterns had already bored the guy. The most important task for him right now was to get the monster away from the shelter for Lin Lin's sake. He kept running away and hiding again and again, then running away from the monster again and hiding again. In the end, the guy was too tired. He couldn't understand why the people from the Zhong family never arrived to deal with the monster. The guy thought that the monster looked like a tarantula. Such spiders usually hunted by relying on vibrations, so he tried to calm himself down, although it was difficult because he was too tired. The monster at this very moment loomed over the guy's head. The monster decided not to torture its victim any longer and attacked the guy. But at that moment a lightning bolt appeared and someone interfered with the monster. As it turned out, a girl with a halberd appeared behind the guy's back. She used the magic shield created with the halberd to block the monster's strike. The one who saved the guy was a girl with snow-white hair and horns on her head, as if she was a dragon in human form. The girl took advantage of the moment, and a ghostly dragon materialized on the end of her halberd. After that, she directed her attack towards the monster, and the dragon passed through the monster. The monster was instantly defeated, and she couldn't take her eyes off the defeated monster. The girl immediately inquired if the guy was okay after the monster attack. Chi noticed that the girl had a 6-level pattern, so he thought that she was one of the Zhong family's elite fighters. He admitted that he was fine. However, at this moment, the entire area near them shook again. As it turned out, the monster was still not dead and managed to rise again. The girl is disappointed that the monster is not dead, so she is already seriously going to deal with the monster. This time the monster threw the girl into the wall with ease. The guy only had time to run up to the girl and help her to her feet before the monster was immediately beside them. The girl was frustrated and didn't realize how the monster had gotten stronger after coming back to life. She wanted to report this situation to the head of the family as soon as possible. However, the girl realized that she would go to report the situation to the family, then the monster would deal with the guy first, and then quickly catch up with her as well. However, if she fights the monster and lets the guy escape, they might have a chance of survival. She tells the guy to run away. The girl wants the guy to go to the head of her family and report that the D-class monster has been upgraded to C-class after being revived. The guy is worried about the girl, but she is determined and states that they each have an important mission. However, this is when Chi messes things up as he gets a headache. The girl can't understand what's going on. She tries to push the guy aside as the monster was rapidly approaching them. In defiance, the guy grabs the girl's hand. Suddenly, the guy's forehead glowed and his body was enveloped by golden energy. It was as if he was being filled with divine power and a horn grew on his head. The guy was still trying to understand what had just happened to him, as even his clothes had changed. However, the monster didn't want to leave the guy no chance, so it tried to attack him. This time Chi didn't flinch or retreat, and attacked the monster with his dragon power. The guy noticed that the dragon was similar to the one the girl had used. He wondered how he had managed to use the girl's skill. The girl admitted that she didn't know how she teamed up with the guy. She noticed that not only could the guy use her abilities, but his abilities were stronger than hers. Chi Yui didn't fully understand what was even happening to him. However, he decided that he should deal with the monster first and then try to think things through. The girl agrees with him. The guy seems to have decided that he will now be Gilgamesh, so he summoned a multitude of swords. And after that, the guy brought all those phantom swords down on the monster, destroying it. The girl was glad that they still managed to defeat such a dangerous monster. Despite the damage it had received, the monster was still showing signs of life. Therefore, without even an ounce of doubt, Chi Yui detonated all the phantom swords that had entered the monster's body. Only after that did the monster stop giving signs of life. The guy wondered if the monster was actually dead, considering how many times the monster didn't give up. The girl advises the guy to cautiously approach the monster and check it out. Chi Yui decided to follow the girl's advice and went to the monster. However, as soon as he got close to the monster, he and the girl split into two separate bodies again. At the same moment, he began to fall down, for he was just an ordinary person. However, his life was saved as the girl managed to pick the guy up in her arms before he fell to the ground and crashed. After that, she landed safely together with the guy. Because of the strange situation that occurred, they even both blushed, and the girl put the guy on the ground. After that, Chi Yui thanked the girl for her help, but she disagreed because she was the one who should thank the guy. At this moment, the girl's subordinates appeared. She ordered the subordinates to start the auxiliary operation after the disaster as usual. The girl then grabbed the guy's hand and dragged him behind her. Chi Yui wanted to go to his sister since she was still in the shelter. However, the girl noticed that since the sister was in the shelter, she was safe. The girl had a few questions for the guy. She took him aside and wondered why the guy was able to use her power. Chi Yui himself couldn't understand, since this was the first time this had happened to him. The girl started looking at the guy with a serious look, which made the guy worried. After that, the girl handed the guy her business card and told him that if he needed anything, he could contact her. The guy amusedly wondered if they would take him to a research institute for an autopsy to find out the cause of his powers. The girl only laughed at such assumptions of the guy. She decided to reassure the guy that he was too rare a specimen. Considering his life, the guy thought it didn't sound like he was special, but that he belonged to an endangered species. She announces that she will protect the guy. A subordinate ran up to the girl and handed her a phone, informing her that the master was looking for a girl. The girl took the phone and started talking to the master. The subordinate looked at the guy with displeasure and even called him low-level trash. The girl finished talking on the phone and immediately called out to the subordinate. He immediately bent down to take the phone from the girl and asked what else he could help his miss with. However, to his surprise, his miss informed him that she was firing him. The subordinate helplessly fell to the ground, trying to realize how he lost his job. Chi Yui, on the other hand, asks the girl not to pay attention to such statements to him because he is already used to such things. However, to his surprise, the girl thanks him again and gives him a gift, a card. She asks the guy to accept her gift because he saved not only her, but also all those who were on the street. The guy looked at the card the girl gave him and then put it in his pocket. The girl's name was written on the card, Zhong Yuyan. Chi Yui accepted the gift from the girl, then said goodbye and went to the shelter where his sister was. Looking after him, Zhong Yuyan said that this guy was the key to resolving the whole situation. Soon the sister had to be taken to the hospital. Qi Yue applied cold compresses to her head to bring down her fever. The sister tried to reassure her brother, noticing that she was fine. However, the brother noticed that the sister's temperature had risen slightly. He thought it was because the girl had been scared a lot yesterday. As soon as he returned to the shelter after fighting the monster, his sister immediately ran up to him and hugged him. The people who were in the shelter were happy that the guy was alive and greeted him as a hero because he had saved everyone. A man immediately ran up and got on all fours in front of the guy. He apologized for deliberately putting people in a difficult situation, so he asked that the guy ask the Zhong family so they wouldn't fire the man. The man did not do this at all sincerely, he was only worried about his job. It was too humiliating for him to bow down in front of a guy with a level 1 pattern. Lying in the hospital bed, the sister apologizes to her brother and admits that she feels like she's pulling her brother back. She wanted to say that her brother almost died yesterday because of her, but her brother interrupts her and refuses to listen to such words. He points out that outsiders' conversations are not about their family. So if the sister feels guilty, let her make him the best radish and pork rib soup when she recovers. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door of the girl's room. The brother decides to go and see who came, and he asks his sister to take her medicine and get a good night's sleep. As soon as he came out of the hospital room, he was greatly surprised. In front of the sister's hospital room gathered incredibly many people, so the guy could not help but be surprised by this turn of events. Qi Yue wonders if the people came because of Miss Zhong. The guy immediately admits that this is the case and he is following Miss Zhong's instruction. However, the blonde guy with glasses immediately runs up to the guy and informs him that if he falls into the clutches of the first guy's family, he will become useless. The blonde guy with glasses thought the guy was interesting, as the guy was a low-level pattern holder and has abilities like a high-level one. The blonde guy with glasses thought that this was a new mutation, and he was eager to study this mutation. Qi Yu was stunned by such remarks towards him. A girl standing nearby remarks that scientists are crazy and that they only want to study someone or dissect them. She tries to seduce the guy and wonders if he wants to join the Shen family. After all, they are no less noble than the Zhong family. Suddenly, the guy is in incredible demand. The Zhong and Shen families wanted to get their hands on him. Someone present also noticed that his family also wanted to get the guy. They were surprised that the guy was being offered the best options. However, the guy was not so simple. He only saw strained smiles in their gazes. People still thought he was trash. They thought he was just lucky and that any of the families just wanted to squeeze everything out of him and throw him away. In their minds, they only thought that he was trash, and thus would always remain trash. Qi Yue did not underestimate himself, so he informed the others that since they wanted him to join one of their families, he wanted to talk to everyone in turn. And after that, he would decide which family he would go to. This antics of the guy infuriated almost everyone present. They began to resent that the guy is taking too much on himself, and after all, he is only a low level. However, the guy didn't lose his pride, and he pointed out that everyone present should realize that they were the ones begging him to join them. The guy even showed in front of the eyes of those present the card that Zhong Yuyan had given him. Qi Yue informs the guy who was from the Zhong family that since the eldest daughter of the family kindly invited him, he feels it is too disrespectful to reject such a generous gift. So he informs that he is joining the Zhong family. However, there was a problem. His sister had a fever, so his sister needed to stay in the hospital. The Zhong family guy immediately understood everything and said that the girl would be taken with Qi Yue to the Zhong family's private hospital. After that, the guy went back to his sister's room. Everyone who came was furious at the guy's antics. Someone even remarked that such a guy couldn't be made to bow his head by power alone. The sister inquired what had happened. The brother reassured his sister, for they would be fine now. At this time, a raven was watching the conversation between the brother and sister on a tree branch near the hospital. In the evening of the same day, Qi Yue went to the Zhong family's house. There were many people in the Zhong family house. As soon as Qi Yue arrived at the Zhong family house, the atmosphere immediately changed. The guy was immediately surprised that someone with a level 1 pattern was able to enter the house. The man behind him even called Qi Yue pathetic. The girl, standing next to him, advised them to be quiet because the low-level guy had arrived with the manager. The guy was surprised that Manager Sun had personally invited such a weakling. Chi Yui walked along with the manager through the scornful gazes of the people present. Suddenly, a blond man with a glass of wine in his hands blocked their way. He inquired as to why Manager Sun had let the one-level guy in. Manager Sun respectfully addressed young Master Tsui and pointed out that this was Master Zhong's special guest, so the manager asked to let them pass. The blond man suspiciously yet contemptuously eyed the guy in front of him. He didn't understand how such trash could be a special guest. Manager Sun was still trying to be friendly and asked young Master Tsui to let them pass. However, at this moment, Chi Yui intervened in the conversation. It infuriated the blond man that some guy with a level 1 pattern decided to show himself as an important person. The blond man thought that low levels like the guy in front of him had no right to drink good wine. After that, he poured the rest of the wine in his glass on Chi Yui's head. Chi Yui noted that the blond man had started it himself. The blond man only smirked and was about to beat the guy up. However, at that moment, Chi Yui easily punched the blond man, who did not expect it at all. Tsui didn't understand why he couldn't transform. Chi Yui didn't give the blond man time to think and pinned him to the ground, demanding an apology. The blonde refused to apologize, and then Chi Yui slapped him again demanding an apology. After the educational measures, Chi Yui still received an apology from the blond man. Chi Yui thought that the guy in front of him was a weakling. Even though he was a high level, he couldn't even use his own strength. However, as soon as Chi Yui moved away from the blond man, he was immediately able to use his powers. Only now did Chi Yui realize that the red glow he saw was a sign of transformation. The blond man was furious and was about to finish the guy off. However, at that moment, a portal formed behind his back. A giant dog's mouth appeared out of the portal, and the blond man immediately freaked out, sensing something wrong. It was too late to react in time, and the arrogant blonde lost his head. Why must there always be someone arrogant who gets punished for his arrogance? What do you think of this manhwa? Many guests were incredibly startled by the sudden appearance of the giant. They didn't expect the monster to appear so suddenly in the Zhong family's house. Young Master Tsui was a level 5 pattern warrior, and the monster had so easily bitten him in half, so the other guests began to scatter in different directions. Manager Sun immediately ran up to the guy and told the guy to immediately run away with him. While Chi Yui was running away from the manor, he wondered to Manager Sun why none of the high-level guests intervene and stop the monster. However, Manager Sun points out that a high level of patterning does not make one combat capable. It is only after hard training that the pattern becomes battle-ready. Manager Sun sadly explains that because of the brutal training, many children in noble families do not survive, and that there are fewer and fewer of them left. Despite the fact that they turned on all their strength and ran at top speed, they couldn't run far, and the monster caught up with them, appearing right in front of them. Just when the guy thought that his and the manager's lives had come to an end, suddenly a pink-haired girl with 2 pigtails appeared in front of the monster and kicked her foot right into the monster's face. The pink-haired girl landed right in front of the guy and covered him with herself. After that, she told the guy to leave immediately to safety. Taking a closer look at the girl, he immediately recognized her and remembered how she had already protected him as a child. As a child, she had also told him to run to safety when 3 boys jumped him. The monster was unwilling to stand aside for long, for he was already eager to taste more of the prey that was in front of him. The girl also reacted instantly and summoned a giant axe. Using her axe, she intended to deal with the monster in a flash. However, the monster suddenly let out a monstrous howl. This howl as if created a powerful wave, and the girl with her axe in her hands was thrown aside. The girl flew towards Chi Yui, so he cushioned the girl's fall and immediately asked if the girl was all right. She was all red with embarrassment, considering the position she fell on the guy. The monster seemed to grow stronger after its terrifying howl, as if it had summoned a whole pack with its howl. All the monsters scattered in different directions and grabbed their prey that still couldn't escape. Just then, 4 monsters from the pack attacked the guy and the girl. The girl immediately grabbed the guy's hand and told him to run along with her. However, the moment they made contact with their hands, everything around them lit up with a pink glow, and all the monsters one by one were shattered. Once the dust settled, the guy was still in the same place, and he didn't understand why one would run away in such a situation. What surprised him more was that he was colored pink this time. The girl remarked that the pink color was incredibly cute, so she ordered that Chi Yui should destroy all the monsters with the pink axe. The guy, on the other hand, was only too happy to destroy all the monsters that appeared. The monster wasn't going to let up either, and it devoured the corpses of the monsters and summoned them again, much to Chi Yui's surprise. The guy chopped down every monster that approached him, swinging his axe again and again. Soon he noticed that there was no end to the monsters, and they were arriving again and again. In the heat of battle, the guy even asked the girl if she liked spinning around like a ride. However, the girl doesn't understand what he means, as she has never been on a ride, so she asks the guy to take her to ride the ride afterward. Chi Yui promises that they will go to the amusement park as soon as they manage to get rid of the annoying monster in front of them. He quickly spun around with the axe in one place for 360 degrees. As a result, Chi Yu created an artificial tornado with which he instantly dispersed all the summoned monsters. The main monster was not going to tolerate such insolence from the guy and ran at him with all its fury. After waiting for a moment, Chi Yui did not engage in direct confrontation with the monster, but simply threw the axe directly at the monster. The monster, which had recently run at great speed towards the guy, suddenly slowed down. In fact, a giant hole was formed in its body from the impact of the axe, which pierced through the monster. The defeated monster fell to the floor and its eyes closed forever, just like the ones it had managed to eat this evening. Just as Chi Yui sighed with relief and thought that it was already over, he and the girl once again split into two bodies. The girl immediately jumped into the guy's arms and rejoiced at their victory over the monster. She even demanded to go to the amusement park. At this moment, Zhong Yuyan burst into the house. She immediately inquired if the guy was okay. The first thing she saw was the guy lying on the floor with a pink-haired girl sitting on top of him. Zhong Yuyan's face even turned red at this moment. She immediately turned to Ms. Luo. Luo was also to see her junior. The guy was surprised to hear that Zhong Yuyan was considered the junior. Luo takes the girl by the hand and notes that she is a few years older than Zhong Yuyan. Zhong Yuyan apologized for scaring them. The girl wants them all to meet her father first and discuss the rest on the way to her father's house. As it turned out, not everyone escaped or was defeated. One guy standing in the corner sipping wine only smirked after all that he got to see. As soon as Chi Yui sensed that someone was hiding in the shadows, the guy immediately disappeared from sight. Zhong Yuyan asked the guy not to worry about anything, as the Zhong family would deal with all the mess that had arisen. Soon Manager Sun arrived, along with other underlings of the Zhong family. He asked all the survivors to leave the house accompanied by guards. The Zhong family was later going to explain everything that had happened. Zhong Yuyan immediately noticed that the monster that appeared in Zhong's house was exactly the same monster as the one that appeared in the shopping district. She notices that there shouldn't be such monsters because there are barriers above the Zhong family's house and the shopping district. Therefore, she didn't understand how the monsters could have gotten under the barrier. She even speculated that perhaps the barrier had already disappeared. Chi Yui immediately wondered if the barrier was the reason why he had become so strange. Zhong Yuyan didn't have an answer to that question, so she marked it as just one of the assumptions. Luo asked the guy not to be afraid. After all, she and Zhong are by the guy's side. Zhong Yuyan brought the guy to her father and knocked on the door and informed her father that she had brought Luo Zhang and Chi Yue. However, as soon as she opened the door, she was immediately hit in the face by a tea bowl launched in her direction. The girl was upset, and Luo Zhang was angry at the old man when she saw this. Zhong Yuyan's father immediately ordered everyone to kneel down. However, just as Zhong Yuyan was about to kneel down, Chi Yue grabbed her arm, preventing her from doing so. Chi Yue even apologized for his next words, but said that he was extremely displeased with Master Zhong's approach, by which he decided to demonstrate his power. The old man reminded the guy that this was a Zhong family matter and he would not allow outsiders to interfere. The girl jerked the guy's hand away with a frustrated look, hinting for him not to interfere in this situation. However, Chi Yui was not going to leave it like that, and resented that he couldn't imagine that noble families didn't know how to greet guests. After that, he defiantly turned around and was about to leave the house. Just at this moment, the old man couldn't stand it. and said that the last two monsters appeared because of the guy. However, the guy did not stop and left the Zhong family's house, closing the door behind him. Along with him, Luo Zhang also left the house, who found the old man incredibly annoying. Qi Yui noticed from the whole conversation with the old man that Zhong Yuyan did not have the warmest relationship with his father. Luo Zhang also noticed this, and also revealed that the old man had reduced Zhong Yuyan's mother to the grave. After that, Luo Zhang told him about the Zhong family. As it turned out, the number of levels in a pattern with a certain chance was inherited. To increase the chance of high-level patterns appearing in children in the next generation, some noble families even choose someone close to them to start a family. Qi Yui was surprised to hear this story and immediately understood everything. Luo Zhang confirmed his guess because Zhong Yuyan's mother was forced to marry her cousin, and after giving birth to a child, the woman lost her mind. Qi Yu finally began to realize that even in noble houses, things weren't that simple. The girl tried to smile and remarked that although it was not a secret, but she thought that she would rather let Zhong Yuyan herself tell the rest. Luo Zhang took her opportunity to immediately ask the guy if he wanted to join S Corporation and that it was a direct invitation from the boss. Qi Yui thanked the girl for the invitation and promised to think about her invitation. When he was about to leave the girl, she immediately asked him if he wanted to go to an underground auction with her. Qi Yui didn't understand why he needed to go to the auction. Luo Zhang was cunning, so she immediately reminded the guy about his sick sister. She said that she had heard that today's auction would feature an ancient jade that protected the body and soul. The relic was incredibly useful to the guy's sister. Just hearing about such an amazing item, Qi Yui instantly agreed. One could not come to the auction just like that and needed a proper costume. Qi Yui remembered that he had once applied for a job as an insurance agent, and so he bought one suit. Luo Zhang immediately discarded the option as it didn't fit, and offered to go and pick up a new suit for the guy. Soon the red-faced guy was standing in front of the mirror wearing the new suit Luo Zhang had picked out for him. She noticed that the suit looked very good on the guy and offered to buy two suits at once, but the guy refused. Suddenly, the son of some rich daddy noticed them. He immediately began to scoff that Luo Zhang had come to the store to pick out nice clothes for her boyfriend. However, Luo Zhang did not pay any attention to this blonde man and asked the store employee to pack two suits. The blonde man just got furious when he noticed that he was being ignored. He even remarked that he didn't expect Luo Zhang to prefer such smarmy guys at all. His girlfriend approached him to calm him down. However, he pushed her away and told her to get lost, as she had no right to say anything to him. The girl started to fall to the floor from such a blow, but at the same moment she was picked up by a charming red-haired girl who asked if the girl was all right. The red-haired girl immediately called the blonde man trash, because she thought that only trash would attack the weak. The blonde man thought he was the coolest and was about to beat up the red-haired girl. However, he was instantly punished when the red-haired girl kicked the blonde between his legs with her right foot. The blonde was lying pathetically at the feet of the red-haired girl, who called him a loser. Qi Yui had time to note that the girl was good. Just at that moment, a portal appeared behind the girl. Guys, stop attracting all possible and impossible bad luck already. He immediately shouted at the red-haired girl from the impending danger, but it didn't help, and the limbs that extended out from the portal grabbed the red-haired girl. Luo Zhang paid for the two costumes she had bought and only had time to turn around at the noise. She saw the guy grabbing the red-haired girl's leg while the red-haired girl was already half submerged in the portal. When Luo Zhang rushed to help the guy, the portal closed right in front of her. The girl had no idea what to do in this situation and how she could save Qi Yui. Being in the dark, as if in some kind of cave, the guy wondered if the girl who had gotten into this place with him was here. He was glad that they were okay. However, he shouldn't have touched the girl as she freaked out, thinking the guy was just another pervert. 3 flames of flame lit up above the girl's head. The guy tried to justify that he didn't mean anything by it, and reminded the girl that monsters could appear at any moment. The girl's hair suddenly became flaming, illuminating everything around her. She told the guy to move away from her, because if he didn't move away from her, she would definitely set everything on fire in this place. Qi Yue was not so impulsive and tried to think about why the monster had brought them to this special space. He noticed lightning fast that a monster started to appear from the ground under the girl, and so he pushed the girl aside. The girl was about to take out her anger on the guy who suddenly pushed her, but then she noticed that the shadowy spikes that came out of the ground pierced the guy's body. The girl immediately used her fire to save the guy. Her attack worked, and the shadow spikes began to disappear. Hoping that the girl was distracted by the injured guy, the shadow claws tried to attack her. However, with a gesture of one hand, the girl lightningly created a diamond-shaped fire dome around them, repelling the shadow monster's attack. She held the guy in her arms and told him not to pass out. The guy's eyelids, despite such support, gradually closed. As soon as his eyes sank into darkness, he remembered how he was once beaten up by other guys like he always was. They always mocked him and beat him up regularly, for he was the weakest in their eyes. In their eyes, he was not a human being, but just trash. Soon a red-haired girl with an umbrella came up to him, feeling sorry for the guy. All this time while he was being beaten, he kept the cake under him, not letting his abusers know about him. He wanted to give the cake to the girl since it was her birthday. The red-haired girl's name was Ling. Ling dropped the umbrella and cried loudly, even though it was pouring rain the whole time, although the guy asked her not to cry because everything was fine. Chi Yui slowly opened his eyes and informed the girl that everything was fine. The obvious tsundere immediately noticed that she wasn't worried about the guy, but worried that the guy would die trying to save her. The flames grew stronger and gradually enveloped the two of them. Eventually, the guy emerged from the flames. This time he even had giant wings on his back. The girl couldn't understand what was going on and why the guy was using her powers. Chi Yue was only now able to realize that he could merge with high-level pattern holders and use their powers. The girl was indignant, because then the guy had to ask her permission to do it first. Chi Yue immediately admitted that he didn't quite understand how this ability worked, and that this was only the third time for him. The girl was indignant, as this was the third time for the guy, and she didn't want to merge with the guy. Just at this moment, the monster started to make progress in destroying the dome. Therefore, Chi Yui decided that they would only be able to talk when they managed to get out of the situation. Don't believe him, he had already promised to take one girl to the rides right away. But he never did. The monster attacked the guy with his limbs, but he easily dodged the attack. The impulsive girl immediately told the guy not to hide, but to go into a frontal attack. As they gradually moved forward and dodged the attack, the guy noticed that there was something they still hadn't sorted out. The girl doesn't understand what the guy is even talking about. Chi Yue asked her the most important question, why they were chosen. The impulsive girl didn't know that. Then Chi Yu wanted an answer to the second question. Why were they dragged into this strange place and not just killed outside? The girl is outraged because she thinks she is super strong and that she can't just be killed. Chi Yui materialized fire in his hand and cast it aside. The girl didn't understand what the guy was doing at all. However, contrary to her claims, she saw the monster immediately reach for the fire and couldn't understand why the monster did that. Chi Yui explained to her that it seems like the monster wasn't actually interested in the girl, but only in the flames. Based on this theory, the monster grabbed the girl and dragged her to this place because it sensed her flame aura. Thinking along the same lines, the monster wanted to take the flame away from the girl. On the ceiling of the cave, right above the flames, they saw a cocoon, and it immediately made sense to them. Chi Yui immediately materialized a fire blade in his hand and rushed towards the cocoon, hoping to destroy it. The moment the guy touched the cocoon with his blade, the cocoon exploded. Chi Yui immediately realized that he had failed to destroy the cocoon. Just at that moment, someone appeared from the cocoon. A monster girl came out of the cocoon and said in a joyful voice that she had finally met him. The guy and girl immediately asked each other if any of them knew the monster that was in front of them. The girl monster stared menacingly at the guy and told him not to leave her side anymore, and then immediately rushed towards the guy. The guy nimbly dodged the monster's limbs that were sent in his direction. The guy wondered if the girl understood what was going on. The girl immediately sadly remarked that she understood everything. The monster girl frankly didn't understand why the guy wasn't approaching her. She flew up to the guy and hugged him. Only now Ling explained that she realized that the guy was being pursued by some perverted girl. She didn't expect at all that the monster would enjoy this kind of entertainment. Chi Yui became annoyed by such a situation and he pushed aside the monster girl, who had to jump back a considerable distance. The monster girl didn't understand why the guy was reacting to her like this and why something was wrong. Licking the monster girl decided that she would find a way to get the guy to come closer to her. The monster used a web to entangle the guy and prevent him from being able to move. However, the guy wasn't going to just give up and immediately blocked the web with a powerful fire attack. The web instantly burned up from the so powerful flames. Ling was shocked at what kind of powerful force the guy used. After that, the guy summoned a fire phoenix and sent it towards the monster girl. However, the monster girl was delighted by this, but still stated that the guy's attack was completely useless against her. At the same instant, shadowy spikes emerged from the ground and rushed towards the fire phoenix. Qi Yui was surprised that the flames were absolutely unable to harm the monster. The monster calmly blocked the fire phoenix's attack. Ling was also pondering about what they should do in this situation. Qi Yu immediately reminded the girl that they were in the monster's territory. Therefore, the longer they stayed in the monster's territory, the more trouble would await them. After analyzing the situation, the guy decided to take advantage of the fact that the monster was trying to catch him. Ling became curious as to what the guy was up to. Qi Yui confessed that the plan was simple but risky. First, he wanted to pretend to be weak so that the monster would grab him with its paws. After the monster would be distracted by something else, then he was going to break free and pierce the monster with his sword. Qi Yui only managed to come up with this plan. Ling thought this plan was too simple and also the risk was too high. The guy, on the other hand, realizes that they have no choice. After all, they are trapped in this space controlled by the monster, so they have to take the risks. Ling even apologizes, feeling that it's all her fault that they got into this situation. However, the guy remembers how the old man lastly stated that the monsters appeared because of the guy. Therefore, he's not sure if it's the girl's fault. After all, it's probably his fault. The guy decided to put all these speculations aside until they got out of the rotten place. Meanwhile, the monster's limbs were trying to attack the guy from all sides. In an instant, the unresisting guy was entangled by the monster's limbs. The monster was ecstatic that she finally managed to catch Lord. She even asked for Lord to be closer to her. The girl revealed that she had been looking for Lord for a long time. However, the guy immediately materialized a flaming sword in his right hand and pierced the monster with it. Suddenly, the girl appeared before his eyes as if she was from his memories. She happily brought her Lord tea. As soon as Lord only drank the tea she brought, he fell to the floor, and the girl had absolutely no idea what was happening. Just at that moment, an unknown man came and kicked the girl. He even taunted the girl that the pathetic puppet had fallen in love with the Lord. Returning to reality, Qi Yui couldn't understand where the events in front of his eyes arose from, like his memories. He even wondered if the girl wasn't lying and actually knew who he was. In her last words, the girl monster regretted what had happened and asked that the flames burn away the sins she had committed. Ling immediately noticed that the place they had gotten into was about to be destroyed. A moment later, they were back in the store and immediately split into two bodies. Ling put her arm around the guy and noted that he was incredibly cool. Suddenly, the guy found the wooden monster girl figurine he had recently destroyed in his hand. Luo Zhang saw the wooden figurine and immediately thought that it was a patterned helper. Aren't there too many coincidences and happened events in a guy's life in a few chapters? Why do such simple and naive plans work? And that's all for today. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you would like to see a sequel, please like, subscribe to the channel, and leave your wishes in the comments. You can also subscribe to Telegram to know about new videos. Bye everybody.